Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Irrespective of partisan affiliations, Nigerians old and young are expected to put the nation first and support the incoming administration as a way of repositioning the country for a better future. For a country with such huge chunk of our population between the age range of 19 and 50, what happens to this critical demographic is being seen as key to either the success or failure of any government. What then should Nigerian youth expect from the Tinubu administration, and how can they selflessly make their own contribution to national development? Elvis Akpobi is a youth enthusiast and executive director, Not Too Young to Lead. He now joins us to take a close look at what manner of sacrifices required in this direction. Many thanks for joining us, Elvis. It's so great to have you here. Not Too Young to Run is a bill that has become an act, I believe, and it's something that a lot of Nigerians were extremely enthusiastic about, very happy about it. But have we begun to reap the benefit of that drive to get a lot of young people in politics? Are we reaping any benefit from it? Let's start from there.
Not really, because firstly, to bend Nigeria, we can't bend Nigeria into a shape immediately, but we'll take a slice. So gradually we're getting there. And let's ask, what keeps coming to mind is when we say young people, who are the young people? Because sometimes we see people say they appoint someone of 45 and people be like, it's a youth. No, the policy for United Nations is between 18 and 28. Why that of the AU is 18 to 35. And over time, we've seen a bill has been signed, we pushed for it, a bill has been signed, it's an act, but it's not, there's no ripple effect at the moment. It's just, you find this money back politics is really affecting young people because electioneering in this period and in this terrain is very, very capital intensive. But we're getting there gradually.
All right, talking about getting there gradually, I'm very interested in the name, just Not Too Young to Lead, because it already suggests that there are some existing structures and stereotypes around leading as a youth, right?
Yes.
Could you just share with us some of your findings around that in terms of what the realities are on ground?
Oh, okay. Not Too Young to Lead, as the name it implies, it talks about a 360-degree leadership. You don't need to be a politician to be a leader. In your little space, you can be a leader. As a head of maybe an electrical shop, you can be a leader. And how you lead those people matters a lot. And today in Nigeria, we always complain about bad leadership. But we seem to forget that the people leading us today didn't fall from the sky. They were people informed and shaped by the mindset, the environment they find themselves. They had friends in school, they have neighbors, and how they grew up, their mindset is what they are replicating on the table where critical decisions about the future of Nigeria is being made. Let's ask ourselves, as young people, are we good citizens? Because definitely we'll become good leaders. We'll become leaders in future. And it's our mindset as young people we'll put on that table when we become leaders, which will in turn affect other people who will be youth then. So for me, I believe it's a foundational thing. When we talk about leadership, like in Nigeria today, it's a foundational thing. When we complain about leadership, what's the mindset of young people? How are we raising even our children? How are we raising them?
Okay. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back on the morning show. Okay, so Elvis is still with us. Thank you. We just had a short break. And so let's ask you, in terms of what we expect for this coming administration, we know what the Buhari administration has done. We've had quite a large number of young people who only want one thing and one thing only, to get away from this country because they don't feel fulfilled and they don't feel like they're fulfilling purpose for their lives. So they want a better climb. For want of another word, people will say they're looking for greener pastures somewhere. So we've got your organization, Not Too Young to Lead. What would you like this next administration to do for young people that will give hope to those who have refused to japa or had no choice but to stay in the country because they cannot japa?
Okay, firstly, he has promised 35% inclusion for young people, and that's good, but let's ask ourselves. It's not just about, the advocacy is not just about young people. It's young people with character, capacity, and competence, people who are responsive. But you see, as a group, we've always want to, mirror excellence to other young people. And someone that contested for president, he's elected at the moment. The last election, you agree with me that young persons came out. They came out en masse. We've never had the kind of enthusiasm young people put in elections compared to that. So he knows that gradually power is going back to the people, and young persons make up the populace, almost 70% of the populace. What we're clamoring for is an enabling environment where we can live our dreams, equal opportunity, where I don't need to jackbar.
What would you call an enabling environment?
Because an enabling environment is an environment where I'm qualified for this. I applied for this. I don't need to call anybody to get what I need to get.
So what can the president do about that?
It's checks, putting the right people in the right places, mostly when it comes to employment. Then the currency of our generation is potentials, innovation, inventing, and all that. An environment where these potentials can be harnessed, grown, and developed. You can take a clue from the governor of Delta State. On inception, what he did was he created a job creation office where he knew that these potentials need to be harnessed, they need to be grown. And we had the RISA, Rural Skill Development Initiative, that have trained almost 2,000 young people. We have the Project Jest, because you say if you train a girl, you train the nation. That's the Girl Child Skill Acquisition Program that have trained lots of young people and brought up, given hope to young people. So for me, if young people are given that ladder of social mobility to live their dreams, to be able to compete with their contemporaries across the world, we'll be at peace. And remember, when there is peace, there's development. And mostly young persons are the vehicles used in perpetuating insecurity and all that. For me, I'm privileged to be just one person that, I did some things and they saw what I did and I'm being commended. There are other young persons there looking for that platform. So this new administration, we are hopeful will give young persons with character, capacity, and competence to be on the table where their future will be decided.
I mean, and talking about giving, they say to whom much is given, much is expected. I want to talk about responsibility on the part of the youth and what your platform advocates in terms of that. Firstly, do you actually believe that, you just cited an example of Delta State, but that's an isolated example in relation to the grander scheme of things. Do you believe that the Nigerian youth have been given enough to work with? And upon receiving that, what responsibilities are on the part of the youth in terms of moving forward? In
our climb, we lack platforms. So for me, I believe that every young person that has been given platform is a rare privilege. Because
please, when you say platform, what do you mean by that?
When I mean platforms to showcase yourself. So it's, I always tell every young person given an appointment or given a position anywhere, your action or inaction will either open or close doors for other young people. Because sometimes when these, I call them genocrats, those who keep recycling themselves in offices, when they want to, push us aside with the young people, they'll be like, but we'll give this person that appointment. He didn't do well. We'll give this person such responsibility. He didn't do well. And I ask myself, you don't throw away a crate of eggs just because one is spoiled. You test other eggs. Those ones might be good. So Nigeria is blessed with young people who are very, very ready to contribute back their quota to the society. If you check other countries today, they are growing on the potentials of young Nigerians. How come we do well when you take a youth from this climb to the other climb? They do well, they do better. How come when we are here, it seems as if everywhere is shocky, there's bleakness, because there's very little to be inspired by. But I believe and I'm confident that his administration will look into that and will be at peace. And Nigeria will be that tourist destination, that place everybody wants to come. Because I speak with some of my friends abroad. It's not like they are making a lot of money there. They're just comfortable. There's a working system.
Yeah.
So they will come back and will make Nigeria better.
Let me ask you this. When we say enabling environment, a lot of young people are very much interested in the area of technology. Yeah. A lot of young people are interested in the area of entertainment. and they're looking at the film industry, the music industry, the general show business sector. Technology is a major thing, and they're creating fintech as well, using finance and technology combined together. What can the next administration do to create that enabling environment that we keep using as a word that sometimes just seems so
Cliche.
It's such a cliche that we don't even sometimes know what exactly people want when they say enabling environment? What specific would you
Steady
be
power
saying?
supply.
Okay.
Will help. Good road network. Security. And the curve of corruption should be flattened. And our piracy policies should be very, very rigid. Because it seems as if in Nigeria, you do the wrong thing and get away with it. It shouldn't be so. There are some crimes, some little crime, things we call little crime, that are being committed here in Nigeria. If you do it outside the shores of this country, you can't get away with it. So when there is when we have steady power supply, we have good road network, and I'm not scared that if I drive from here with a particular amount of money to the next place for my business, it's either maybe I'll be kidnapped or something will happen to me. I mean, I'll do it. So if we can have a very
so
good
issues of insecurity
taken care of. We have steady power supply, and let's keep celebrating people, the right people, because what society celebrates or glorifies will always multiply. Let's bring out people, young people. Let's celebrate them who are doing well. People want to be like them, and before you see, we'll make Nigeria synonymous to greatness.
So which areas would you want young people to be celebrated? Some musicians were celebrated and given national honors recently.
Yes. For me, I believe Nigeria is a startup. It's a raw material ground for where potentials, tapped and untapped, can thrive. But it's just that, like I'll use the word again, no enabling environment. So if government provide those facilities, I pray the administration does that, those facilities, like let me use the entertainment industry. They have their own hiccup too, which has to do with piracy and all that. Then let me use that young man who's a welder, who just, fought his way, bought some machines and all that. If he has steady power supply, he will do well. He will train other people. And before you see, everybody's engaged. And when young people are engaged, you can't go and influence them to subscribe to West crime. And you and I will be at peace.
Okay.
All right. Well, let's steer the conversation back to leadership, which, of course, is the core of what your platform is. I'm curious to know, what are you advocating in terms of... actually, let's begin with, do you believe that leaders are born or are they made? Hold on that, though, before we get there, because we also want to know, what are you, for the benefit of the youth that are watching this, what are you advocating in terms of being a leader? Because you mentioned earlier, this is not just about politics. It's all sphere of influence.
Nigeria is in need of leaders with character, capacity, competent. Accountability is key and responsive. So my advocacy is for each and every one of us young people. The youth, they're my primary constituencies. I always want to talk about them. Each and every one of us have a role to play in making Nigeria better. Because we keep pointing fingers that this person did not do this. In your little space, what are you doing? The government have provided drainage system for you, for flow of water. Are you waiting for the government to come and clear those baggages? You're done with school. Fine, there are no jobs yet. What are you doing? There are volunteer jobs. Do you get involved in that, or you're just being idle? So it's a 360-degree leadership thing.
If you don't mind me interjecting, you're saying all the right things. Not too young to lead as an organization. What are you doing to engage young people? I've lived outside this country, I've traveled around the world, and I see young people deciding, we're going to start picking all the rubbish on the streets. We're going to go to the Lagos Lagoon and take out all the plastics so that the waterways is clearer, and we'll take hyacinth away from it. We're going to go into places and create things that will... What is Not Too Young to Lead
In the
doing
past
to
six-
create
in-
that desire to
desire.
lead and to create the change that you want to see?
Okay. In the last 6 years, by the grace of God, we've been able to, inspire young people to take up leadership position, come out, irrespective of differences in
In
politics.
which areas? And
Electionaries, like mostly legislators. We have, we've gotten up to like 6 House of Assembly members. We had a deputy speaker, a young deputy speaker, and we keep telling them that during election campaigns and all that your actions and inactions will determine if young people will come in. Then aside that, too, we believe that your leadership starts from a particular spot. We've been able to, in the last 6 years, we've been able to, affect rural communities, provision of pipe of waters, free school uniforms for pupils in school, bags, and all that. And
Across the country?
Across the
or?
country. No, we have directors in 4 countries: Morocco, Rwanda, Liberia, and the Gambia. And they're doing their community services, trying to complement what the government is doing. And I think we're getting there.
All right, we have to commend you on that.
so in Nigeria then, where are the people that are driving the agenda for Not Too Young to Lead? Because if you look at Lagos, what impact is Not Too Young to Lead having in Lagos? You have a teeming population of young people who are out on the street looking for ways to fend for themselves. What are you doing to tell them that you don't have to have a job right now? There are things you can volunteer to do that will lead to the kind of skill that will give you the job that you're looking for.
And in doing that, what's also handicapping you in the process? We also need to know that.
Okay. Last 2 years, we visited the Ajegule, the slums, some slums in Ajegule. There's a school for orphans and underprivileged there. We paid for their tuition fees, gave them bags and all that. Then we are also involved in free skill acquisition programs. The last program had to do with training of young people to be self-reliant, solar panel and installations. The only hiccup we normally have is finance, but we are not perturbed because you have to move.
Are you getting any support from government?
Not really. We don't get support from government, but we get support from teaming individuals who believe that what we're doing is right and who want to support us.
What kind of engagement can you have with the next government that would ensure that you are able to do more?
Okay. Sometime this year, we're preparing for a leadership boot camp for 100 young emerging leaders who will be housed for 3 days. Fully sponsored leadership boot camp. They'll be housed for 3 days, and people will come and shaping their mindsets towards community development, towards leadership, towards entrepreneurship, and they will in turn go back to their states to train other people, which will be sponsored by the Not Too Young to Lead.
When is this planned for?
October.
Now, that's, we had a conversation earlier, and I was saying that the numbers don't add up most of the time. If you're doing 100 out of how many millions of young people, how do you impact the critical mass? How do you get that critical mass? What can this next administration help to do? I mean, someone called Dio Israel, who is the APC leader for youths, he said he was creating the Jagaban army. Some people criticized him and all that, but he got quite a large number of young people engaged. How can you create some kind of youth army for education, for infrastructure development, for agriculture, for different sectors of the economy, and get the support of government? The next administration, how can you do that? What can you do to get that critical mass engaged?
Okay, you talked about the numbers. 100 young persons across the country is like, one person is like an ambassador that will in turn do something, replicate it, another 100. And we're looking at designing an app that will be like a hub for young people. If you look at it, when there are jobs opportunities, you go there. When they're free, when there's a room for free training, skill acquisition, you go there. Because as far as I'm concerned, everybody cannot get this white-collar job. We're training young people to be self-reliant, believe in their own power, and play a role in the future they envisage for themselves and for their country.
And how do the youth out there who would like to be a part of this, how do you engage them? Are there any prerequisites? Is there anything that you have to check before they actually, or you just say come along and then we indoctrinate you? So
No, we have a website, nottooyoungtolead.org. We have the prerequisite there from 18 to 25, 18 to
That's
35. That's
the age prerequisite, okay.
Yes.
Beyond that?
Yes, 18 to 35. And aside that, I don't believe, like I've always said, you can't judge a youth until you give a youth that platform. I don't believe we have bad youth. It's just a foundational problem. So what we do is shaping the mindset of those young people. And for me, there's no force more powerful than an inspired, empowered young person, because he's hopeful. Just like there's no force more dangerous than a helpless and hopeless youth. It's a ticking time bomb. And when that bomb explodes, it will affect every other person. That's why I always say on every platform I find myself, if you find yourself privileged, there's a there's a young person in your vicinity that you can help.
Right.
Because tomorrow, if that person is helpless and hopeless, it becomes a problem to you and your family.
And Elvis, you are the CEO and executive director of this platform, isn't it? Could you talk us through what inspired you putting this together at inception?
Okay. I grew up in the slum of Igby Street in Warri, and growing up, I was not comfortable with my environment. I was not comfortable with the things I see, and I said, no, I need to make a change. I need to play a role in the future I want for myself and for my country, my state, my country. And gradually, when I went into school, I was gravitated towards leadership. I was the speaker of my student union government, Federal University of Technology, Owerri. When I left there, I went for my master's and all that. But Grace found me, aside being around doing my IT in government house as about, God raised somebody to just, this guy has potentials. This guy is doing something different. Mr. Ilario Bill is the principal secretary to the governor of Delta State. And since then, he keeps supporting every initiative we have, everything we want to do. He has been very, very supportive. And today, I've been able to tell what's in that slum I came out from, Igby, that your address is not a limitation of your destination. I'm still under construction, but I still go back there. I've given them pipe of water. I've given free scholarship to them. The main aim is we are better off when people around us are better off.
Okay, so just before we begin to wrap up, we have 36 states in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. In how many states are you fully functional? And what are you planning to do come 29th of May 2023 going forward to ensure that every state governor engage with your organization? Because if we leave it to just one man, who is the president-elect, who in a couple of days will become the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, that one man alone cannot turn the entire country. You need the 36 governors to engage with you. What are you going to do?
Every state in this federation will be privileged to have a commissioner for youth, which should be a vehicle to reaching the governor. I intend writing letters to these commissioners where we'll engage them. Like, what do you have for young people?
Sorry, did you say letters?
Letters, courtesy call letters, where we'll tell them our plans to what we're doing and what they should tell us, what they have, their plans for young people in each state. Because I believe that, like he said, the president alone can't do everything, and governors have their role to play. Back in my state, there's a governor-elect already, Right Honorable Sheriff Obowori, who is in sync with young people. I'm very, very confident of that, and I will discuss with other directors in each state because... So
you're in touch with him?
I'm in touch with him.
Okay, so being in touch with him, are you telling him already that the Commissioner for Youth has got to be somebody below 35? Are you telling him that now so that he's not assigning that particular role to somebody who's 57 or 62 who does not know what the young people want?
He's a leader blessed. He's a leader that is in sync with young people, and he knows our advocacy. our advocacy to an extent bettered the commissioner that is young. And like I've always amplified that, the next commissioner, we are hoping that it will be younger than the previous.
And how old was that one?
40.
40.
Yes.
So you're expecting a 35.
He did very, very well. I'm proud of him. He did very, very well. And I'm still confident, too, in the governor-elect of Delta State, because he's a man blessed with local content. He knows and feels the pulse of young people. I believe his administration will be youth inclusive, and he will do well.
So Delta, no, they carry last.
No, not the carry last.
Delta will probably lead the way.
I'm not sure Right Honorable Sheriff will carry last.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for the rest of the country then, what are you going to ensure is done? Because I still haven't heard. Writing letters to Commissioner for Youth across the country is a good idea, but it means that you're 6 months behind time in terms of driving your agenda. By then, they already got these old men, people with gray hair like my own as commissioners.
We've been using, the social media is a tool of our generation. We've been amplifying and re-amplifying the need for young people with character, capacity, and competence to be appointed. And whoever that is appointed should know that his actions and inactions will either close or open doors for other young people. So I believe those that were elected knew the role young people played during the elections. It's only normal that you place a young person there.
Okay. All right, Elvis Akpobi, the CEO and Executive Director of Not Too Young to Lead. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right.